Tiananmen moment, our big focus on 5 Live.
It's a big news day here on India Today. Thanks for being with me, Shiv, Aroor. This is 5 Live, straight up to the headlines first. State of war, Himachal Pradesh begins 68 seats. Single-phase election kicks off 12th November. Results nearly a month later on December the 8th. And that's because the Gujarat elections, the dates of which haven't been announced just yet, will be announced very soon. Big day in Gyanvapi. Temple Mosque Rao court rejects carbon dating plea on alleged shivling. Hindu side to move Supreme Court next. Minister Smriti Irani's blistering attack on Kejriwal and Aam Aadmi Party slams the Delhi Chief Minister for attacking Prime Minister Modi's mother, asks Kejriwal why he didn't sack Gopal Italia. BJP women's wing stages massive protest.
आपको भले ही ये शब्द गुजरात के आम आदमी पार्टी के किसी कार्यकर्ता के लगते हों, आदेश लेकिन अरविंद केजरीवाल का है.
Punjab stubble burning continues. Rising stubble burning cases in Punjab. Farmers adamant on burning stubble, but Aam Aadmi Party won't penalize farmers. The netas have failed us again, viewer. And you and I are going to be choking and coughing and having our health blown to bits this winter. Full special report coming up at 5:30. Another case of alleged racial abuse in Australia. Indian student stabbed 11 times in Sydney. PhD student critical undergoes surgery. We've got big breaking news here on India Today. INS Arihant, India and the Indian Navy's only nuclear ballistic missile submarine, has just carried out a successful launch of a submarine-launched ballistic missile in the Bay of Bengal. It's a crucial test by India's Strategic Forces Nuclear Command. This test has taken place on October the 14th, that's today. The missile was tested to a predetermined range and impacted the target area in the Bay of Bengal with very high accuracy, according to the Indian Ministry of Defence. All operational and technological parameters of the weapon system have been validated, says the Ministry of Defence. This is a very, very big story, viewer. The INS Arihant is India's homegrown nuclear submarine. It's part of India's strategic forces, part of India's nuclear command and the nuclear deterrent. This is the nuclear submarine that carries long-range nuclear-tipped ballistic missiles, and it is one of those missiles that has been successfully tested today. The significance of such a test is huge because it sends out a nuclear message to the rest of the world. There will be shockwaves and ripples from this particular test. Such tests are usually never really announced. They are reported by the media, but today this test has been officially announced by the Ministry of Defence, which is quite unusual for such a strategic test. Remember, these are weapons of mass destruction of a strategic kind. They are meant only for deterrent purposes, and it is one such Indian nuclear-capable missile that has been tested in the Arabian Sea. Just to tell our viewers, those are representative images of India's various different kinds of submarines. The submarine on your right, the right-hand side of your screen, of course, is the INS Arihant, seen out at sea. Rarely ever seen because it's a nuclear submarine. India Today's National Bureau Chief Abhishek Balla, who has covered defense for many years, also with me live. Abhishek, quite unusual. The Ministry of Defence announcing a test of a long-range submarine-launched ballistic missile from the INS Arihant. You know, we've come a long way from the days of secrecy, haven't we, Abhishek? But first off, what do we know about this test?
Well, certainly, Shiv, it's a big moment that, the announcement of this test has been made public by the Indian Ministry of Defence. Such tests are usually, kept in secrecy. Not the case this time. And once again, it's important, Shiv, and the Ministry of Defence has underlined this, that this is purely as a deterrent that the Indian military is carrying out such a test and to ensure that the adversary is always a deterrent of India being a nuclear power. The fact that INS Arihant has been part of Indian military's arsenal for quite a while now, it's important that this test has taken place. It's taken place in the Bay of Bengal. What the Ministry of Defence has said that it has ticked all the boxes as far as several parameters are concerned, and in those terms, it's an extremely significant test that has happened. Just to remind our viewers that the INS Arihant, which is a nuclear-capable submarine, is very different from the other conventional submarines that the Indian Navy has. The other submarines, are diesel and electrically powered, whereas this is, this has a nuclear reactor, which means it can float under the water for a much longer time, in fact for months, and it can also travel much longer than a conventional submarine. And the fact that nuclear warheads can be deployed on this obviously makes it an extremely strategic.
Abhishek, the INS Arihant, India's nuclear submarine INS Arihant, carries two different kinds of missiles. One is called the K-15, which has a pretty modest range of about 250 to 300 kilometers. But the missile that we're probably talking about here, we don't know this for sure, and that detail has not yet been revealed by the Ministry of Defence, but there is a much longer range missile that the INS Arihant is armed with, and that is the K4. K stands for Kalam, FYI to all our viewers. And, these missile series has been named in his honor. It's the Kalam 4. The K4 missile is a missile that has a range of about 3,500 to 4,000 kilometers. And Abhishek, that's the real nuclear deterrent inside this submarine. With a range of about 3,500 to 4,000 kilometers, this missile can target, targets all across China, different parts of the world. It isn't pointed at anybody, but obviously, China will be taking notice of this because this is a submarine-launched ballistic missile. And as we know, Abhishek, the sea leg of the nuclear triad is said to be the most secretive, the most difficult to detect, and therefore the most lethal.
It is definitely secretive, Shiv, and that's the reason why, the kind of missile that's been used in this test has not been made public. But you and I can make an intelligent guess that in all probability this is the upgraded missile that was being developed for many years, which has a range of nearly 4,000 kilometers, much more from the original missile that was deployed on Arihant, which had a range of 500 to 600 kilometers. So if this is the upgraded range missile that has been launched in this test, then it is a big deal. And the fact that this is the Bay of Bengal, the eastern part of India, of course, China will be watching very closely.
China is going to be watching very closely. Stay with me, Abhishek. I just wanted to tell our viewers that INS Arihant is India's first indigenous nuclear submarine. There are two more similar submarines that are at various stages of construction. Nuclear ballistic missile submarines are not part of your war-fighting arsenal. They are strictly only a part of your nuclear command. Their entire job is deterrence. Because remember, when such submarines start firing their weapons in anger, that means the world is at nuclear war, and that is an unthinkable situation for any country, including India. Remember, India has a no first use nuclear weapons policy, which means that India will only ever fire such weapons like the one that's been fired today, will only fire such weapons in retaliation to a nuclear provocation. So if a country fires a nuclear weapon at India, it is only then that India will fire back a weapon of this kind. They are highly destructive. These are weapons with nuclear warheads that are capable of targeting sites up to 4,000 kilometers away. So you can do the math. You can understand what we are talking about. Obviously, China also has, very similar weapons. In fact, of a longer range. They've got a higher number of nuclear submarines as well. India has only been taking baby steps and has been late, as far as the nuclear submarine capability is concerned. But the good news is India will soon have nuclear ballistic missile submarine number 2 and then number 3, and is also building several nuclear powered attack submarines which will be part of the fleet. Abhishek, one final question to you. As we wait for more information to come in, and I doubt there will be more, I'm actually frankly quite surprised that the Indian MOD has actually announced that there has been such a missile test. I remember I think it was in 2007 or 2008 when INS Arihant was being launched in Visakhapatnam. It was the UPA government at that time. There was no photography permitted. Very little information was actually shared. It was an event that was cloaked in secrecy. We've come a long way, haven't we, Abhishek, to now actually announcing such a crucial missile test by a submarine that until a few years ago was not even acknowledged by the Indian government.
Certainly a shift from the past, Shiv, and this is new age information warfare. Things that were kept extremely secret until few years back. Seeing the way our adversaries go around creating propaganda, I think the military leadership and also the political leadership has realized that it's important to send out strong messages, maybe not every day, just tom-tom about your military capabilities, but once in a while, if a glass ceiling has been broken, if an important test such as this has taken place, it's important not just for the world to know,
right,
but also Indians to be reassured that they are in safe hands.
Stay with me, Abhishek. We're also joined, very honored to be joined now live by Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha. He's former flag officer commanding-in-chief of the Western Naval Command. Admiral Sinha, as always, really good to see you, sir. Big day, submarine launched ballistic missile test by the INS Arihant, sir, something that you are deeply familiar with. Your opening comments, sir, on the significance of this test. And it's been officially announced by the Indian MOD, sir.
Well, I haven't seen any official announcement, but it seems that India Today has broken the news. But I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah.
Because the submarine always had this capability. The day Prime Minister Narendra Modi had announced in the parliament that now you can sleep peacefully, Arihant is out at sea on a strategic patrol. All it means is that if India is struck by a nuclear attack, the second strike will be delivered, a devastating sort of attack over the enemy, and it will be launched from the submarine nuclear submarine. So I think it's a very good thing that the actual firing has been done. All this while the firing was being done, tested from a platform which is a submerged platform. It simulates the submarine, but the submarine always carried this missile, and I'm very happy that it has actually been tested. So I think that it only enhances the credibility of India,
yes,
of the triad, and any adversary who are thinking that we are just lying idle, they are highly mistaken.
Highly mistaken. This is information warfare. This is strategic communication as well. And very, very interesting. Like I said, I've been a journalist for many years. I was there. Captain DK Sharma also joins our coverage. Welcome, sir.
Hi.
Incredible, Captain DK, that the INS Arihant, which has been shrouded in so much secrecy for so many years, the veil has been lifted in many ways. And in this, like Abhishek Balla was just saying, the veil of information secrecy and information warfare has evolved so much that now you have an official announcement, sir, that the INS Arihant has successfully tested a submarine-launched ballistic missile. Amazing. Your views, sir?
Good evening, Shiv, and good evening to all your viewers. And it's been India Today group only, which has been talking about this progress of this evolution of this missile from, quite some time. If you recollect, you and Sandeep Unathan have been onto this story for long. But as Admiral Sinha is saying, that we have been doing the trials of this from an underwater platform. But yes, today again, it has been, this is what is the capability the capability enhancement which is coming to our fold and into our submarines. And when, as the Admiral said, that when the boat was put out for the first deterrence patrol, this missile was very much there. But today, of course, as you are saying, that the veil has been lifted, that, okay, now we are sharing with our own people and telling our friends that, yes, we have this capability and this is how it has been proved.
Yeah.
And today the firing has been, pinpoint kind of an accuracy. That is what my sources say. And it's been a huge, huge, huge success.
Huge success, sends out a message, tests India's proficiency, in a capability that has been, not with India for many years. And, the secrecy apart, the capability is also the big, the big demonstration here, Admiral Sinha. China, one is always tempted to compare with China because they're the other big regional power here. They've got many more nuclear submarines, many more nuclear, ballistic missile submarines in their nuclear deterrent as well. India, in terms of numbers is not catching up. But in recent years, that capability has been given a lot of attention. Would you agree, sir?
No, you're absolutely right, Shiv. You see, the point is that once the successful test firing has been done, whether you have 15 missiles or you have one missile and one boat, if it is operational, if it falls, the devastation it will cause, Shiv, is anybody's guess. And you see that what has happened after the atomic explosion in Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah.
Generations tend to get affected. I'm not suggesting that we should not have more, but we must have more. But the fact is that, with these ranges, the adversary must know that carrying out a nuclear strike on India will always receive a very devastating blow, and it will work each time and every time.
Absolutely. And we must constantly stress this, mustn't we, Captain Sharma? One final question to you, sir, that these are deterrent weapons. These are very different from war-fighting weapons. The entire point of such weapons is, their success lies in them never having to be used. Isn't that the truth about nuclear weapons, sir?
Exactly. That is what you're driving the point home, that this is what is called the fleet in being, like what we say, that one must take into account the capabilities of the adversary. India is not no more a silent, force. We have been, very, very silently progressing and increasing our capability and capacity. But time has come now. You can see what is all happening in the Indo-Pacific. And we need to give a very strong message that nobody should mess around with us. And this is probably a slow way of telling, but no way this goes towards any kind of escalation. This is only a deterrent for us. Should there be a need, as Admiral is saying, then we will not hold back. If somebody strikes on us, we have the material to strike back and strike very, very strongly.
Very, very big day for India. Our salutes to all scientists, engineers, marine technicians, submariners, commanders, everyone involved in this very complicated test. Remember, it is very important that during peacetime, such tests happen successfully, and may we never need to use such weapons ever, because like I repeatedly say about nuclear weapons, if such a weapon ever needs to be fired in anger, then the world could possibly be at an end. Thank you very much, Vice Admiral Sinha, Captain Sharma, Abhishek Bhalla, for joining me on this momentous day. Very proud to bring our viewers that piece of very breaking news. And now, let's go to our spotlight story in another part of the world, not very far away, but it's a quake of its own. Take a look at these images that have broken the internet viewer from Beijing. On the left-hand side of your screen are images of one man today, one man in Beijing who put up banners to protest against what he called China's dictatorship under President Xi Jinping. This was on the day when a conference is being held in Beijing over the next few days to hand President Xi an unprecedented third term as president, which solidifies his hold, grip and power over the People's Republic of China, which reminds a lot of people of this iconic image on the right-hand side of your screen of that lone man who stood up to a convoy of tanks in the famous Tiananmen Square. The Tiananmen Square massacre took place very shortly after these images were taken. That man who has become an icon and a symbol of resistance against the armed might of the state is being echoed by this man wearing orange overalls and a yellow hard hat. He was seen there. We don't know what his name is. We don't know if he's alive or dead. But the images of him are being censored all across China, and people are being reminded of what just happened. Remember, this is just days before China's president Xi Jinping's historic third term begins. It's never happened in the past. Rare protest by one man emerged in Beijing after videos went viral on social media showing posters and banners against President Xi Jinping's authoritarian rule in that country. The banner read, and I quote, "Say no to COVID testing, yes to food, no to lockdown, yes to freedom, no to lies, yes to dignity, no to cultural revolution, yes to reform, no to great leader, yes to democracy, don't be a slave, be a citizen." These words are tantamount to blasphemy in the opaque authoritarian structure of the Chinese government and society. Another banner hung on the flyover read, "Go on strike, remove dictator and national traitor Xi Jinping." Now, while the pictures and videos spread like wildfire on social media everywhere else, in China, the government made sure that every last trace of the images you see right now, viewer, on your screen, have been removed from Chinese social media. China's local newspaper, print and digital media, of course, are all controlled by the government, so they have no real independence to speak of. So they did not carry or broadcast these images at all for Chinese viewers. But even social media, which sometimes has a mind of its own, was cracked down upon. So you can't see these images if you're in China anywhere on social media platforms, on Weibo, on WeChat, anywhere. Well, some of the Chinese social media accounts were even taken down temporarily, and that crackdown is in progress as I bring you this broadcast.
The
20th Congress has fundamentally changed everyone's previous basic views on China's political structure. In the past, the party Congress in China was similar to elections in the West. There were many factions, many struggles, and many disagreements. This is likely going to be the first one without factional struggles since the establishment of Communist Party of China, which means that Xi Jinping has taken control of everything. I think Xi Jinping is the one most responsible for the tight control over news in China. There is no news in China right now, not even propaganda. Why is there neither news nor propaganda? Well, what is the role of the news? The role of the news is to report the truth of the facts. And now China has unprecedented control over the news. China's power has great continuity, and the advantage of this continuity is that it is conducive to the stability of China's policy. Its disadvantage is that we are very afraid that he really becomes a man who never steps down.
Managing editor Gaurav Sawant is with me live as well. Gaurav recently returned from Taiwan, where he's been reporting on all the tension there. Gaurav, unprecedented images. I'm not surprised that people are reminded of the Tiananmen iconic, tank man image during the Tiananmen Square, massacre and incident. This image, we don't even know what this man's name is. Nobody knows what his identity is. All traces of these images that we have on India Today have been completely expunged and erased from Chinese media and social media, Gaurav.
Shiv, there's been a massive scrub exercise across social media in China. All these images have been taken off. All images of protests have been taken out of the social media platforms. Anyway, there wasn't anything in mainstream media. But the fact that people are being asked to become citizens and not slaves, the fact that people are actually questioning Xi Jinping's zero COVID policy it just goes on to show how unhappy at least a section of people, all leadership in China, are against Xi Jinping. And Shiv, Xi Jinping's control over power in China and every aspect of power in China is almost scary. So he's not only the general secretary of the party, the president of the country, the chairman of the military commission, and that makes him all-powerful, one man. Laws change to ensure that he not only gets a third term, but remains president for life. And this is dangerous because now he's also taken complete control of the police or PAP people, armed police, completely in control. So the army under his control, the police under his control, the paramilitary forces under his control. No systems of checks and balances is what analysts argue, and this is alarming. That is why the zero COVID policy is leading to problems in the economy. The property prices going southward, people not being able to recover their money from banks, tanks guarding banks. All of this indicative of the problem that China is facing. But does that mean that these protests mean anything in terms of any challenge to his power? Most analysts say he's extremely powerful and likely to become even more powerful in the years ahead.
He's going to become even more powerful in the years ahead. Gaurav, stay with me. Here's a look at how President Xi Jinping's iron fist actually tightens as a result of him getting this third term. He was going to be appointed for a third 5-year term at the Communist Party, the Chinese Communist Party Congress that's going to be taking place in a couple of days from now. He likely will remain in power for life. Let me repeat that once again. He will be in power for life. It abolishes China's 2-term limit. Remember, this came into effect in 2018, which basically opened the gates for President Xi Jinping to be the ruler of China for life. He's the most powerful Chinese leader since Mao Zedong in the 1970s. So that's how important this entire conference is. That's the kind of power that is going to be given to Xi Jinping. And remember, he's the one calling the shots, so it's not like anyone really has a choice. Now, let's tell you about the anti-Xi protests, or rather protest in China that took place. What the protesters or the protester has been demanding is removal of Xi Jinping as president. Obviously not going to happen. We don't even know where that protester is. Xi Jinping's boycott is the second call. Protesting Xi's third term. They want voting in the country, not this kind of dictatorship. No authoritarian rule, says this protester. Where is the protester? The one circled in that image. We don't know his name. We don't know his identity. He's simply disappeared. All images of his banners protesting against the Chinese president have completely disappeared from all Chinese social media. We've got some breaking news coming in now. Like we said, China has mounted a massive crackdown, censoring social media in the biggest way after a very long time. After images of the Beijing protest have gone viral, the protests against President Xi Jinping, posts containing hashtags Beijing or Haidian have been quickly blocked on China's popular Weibo social media platform, which is basically pretty much similar to Twitter. Twitter, of course, is banned in China. Some accounts on Weibo have been temporarily disabled on another major Chinese platform, WeChat, which is similar to WhatsApp, after they shared photographs of the incident. So, huge digital crackdown by the Xi Jinping establishment against social media, which is the one place where such images can possibly go viral. And that crackdown is in progress. Let's listen into some reactions.
A zero COVID effort that's created mass social and economic disruption throughout China domestically. We've seen the ramping up of internal security, including censorship, policing, to further control and enhance the party's control over the everyday lives of Chinese citizens. We are all economically tethered to China in so many ways, but we have absolutely no idea what's going on, how policies are made. It's very clear when policies come out, but how they're made, how they're influenced, how interest groups can influence them, it is a complete mystery. And that, I think, leads to a degree of unease and uncertainty that's going to follow Xi Jinping into his next term.
I want to quickly get a word in also from our Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, who's also recently returned from Taiwan, reporting there. Geeta, what are you making of these protests? I mean, one man, no sign of him after this brief protest. He's disappeared. Massive crackdown on any mention or pictures of this protest. What are you hearing?
Well, to begin with, Shiv, a huge embarrassment for Xi Jinping. The fact that there are people outside in the streets of Beijing holding banners and posters in itself is unprecedented. Also, the fact that there are VPNs and proxy servers being used to access social media websites, not just within China and China-specific websites, but also to reach out to the world outside. And that's the reason why we have so much of content when it comes to these protests. Having said that, this is not just an embarrassment. This is also coming just days ahead of the Congress, where Xi Jinping will not only become the a president for the third time, it will be a lasting presidency, and it could extend beyond the third term. That certainly is the reason why he's irked. The praises that China received for having controlled or contained COVID now stands exposed, given the fact that the manner in which and the methods that they were using were very, very inhuman. And the reason why we see the banners, Shiv, where it says food, freedom, dignity, putting them in holes, not providing for, not giving them food, certainly has caused a lot of consternation, a lot of problems now for Xi Jinping ahead of the CPC Congress, the Congress that is to begin on Sunday.
Isn't there a lot of global concern about the safety of this individual, Geeta? You know, one would imagine that after the kind of opacity one has seen from China, especially since the pandemic began, and then with the zero COVID possibility, the policy, the human rights organizations would be wondering about the safety of this man. You know, there's no word about him.
Well, the fact that China's crackdown is known to be not just opaque, but also very, very serious in terms of what they really do to people who are under custody or in Chinese custody. So yes, there are major concerns. We know that voices have been raised internationally on various fora when it comes to the kind of crackdown that we are seeing now within China. But in terms of really taking action, the irrelevance of various international platforms, including organizations that India now has been raising and talking about, comes to fore. That all that these international organizations can really do, or community can really do, is raise concerns, but nothing beyond. We've not seen any containment of China, specifically when it comes to human rights and violations within China.
Geeta, thanks very much for that detail. We'll keep a track of this story. A global interest and attention being paid. Big embarrassment to the Chinese president and the Chinese government right before he consolidates his power in a country that owes no answers to any other part of the world but continues its own unilateral aggressions. It's a threat to global peace. One man has stood up to question it in the heart of Beijing. We'll keep a track of this very important story. And coming up next, as expected, the politicians have failed us viewers, especially if you live in the north and in the national capital region. Crop burning in the surrounding areas of Punjab have begun despite politicians promising us that they wouldn't allow Delhi to be smothered by another smog wave. Whether it is Kejriwal, whether it is Bhagwant Mann, whether it is the centre, they've all failed us. And I'm going to tell you just how badly they've failed us next.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
Nora Fateh has now joined the ranks of Jennifer Lopez and Shakira as she has been roped in to perform at the FIFA World Cup in December this year. That makes her the only actor to represent India at the event.
Let's welcome Nora on set, please.
She took to social media to share this behind-the-scenes video in which she can be seen practicing her dance moves for the FIFA World Cup national anthem. That's not all. A few days ago, Nora Fateh, who has also sung the song and danced in the music video, released the official soundtrack. The song has been produced by Red One, who has previously worked with Shakira on Waka Waka and La La La.
Good morning, Mr. Jain.
No, morning. Thank you.
Streaming giant Netflix has announced the release date of its dark comedy Monica, Oh My Darling, which is all set to premiere on November 11th. Sharing this poster, OTT platform captioned it as, "Someone please tell Rajkumar Rao that he already has a hold on our hearts. He doesn't need a claw for it." Directed by Vasan Bala, Monica, Oh My Darling is a neo-noir that is an ode to movies about the perfect plan that led to mayhem in the lives of the people involved. The film also features Huma Qureshi and Radhika Apte in key roles.
तेरे को क्या लगता है? हाँ? तू talented है? Talent नहीं, तेरा story अच्छा है.
मेरे लिए भी कुछ ऐसा है क्या?
सर एक है स्क्रिप्ट मेरे पास.
नाम क्या है सर?
डंकी.
डोंकी?
डोंकी नहीं शाहरुख, डंकी.
Shah Rukh Khan is on a roll as he has back-to-back films lined up, including Donkey. And now it has been reported that Satish Shah and Boman Irani have been roped in to play important parts in the film. Directed by Rajkumar Hirani, the film focuses on illegal immigration to foreign countries and also stars Taapsee Pannu as the female lead. Donkey marks the first collaboration between SRK and the filmmaker. As far as Shah Rukh's other projects are concerned, the actor, who was last seen in Ayan Mukherjee's Brahmastra in a special appearance, has Siddharth Anand's Pathan alongside Deepika Padukone and John Abraham. That's not all. SRK will also be seen in Atlee's directorial Jawan, in which he will be seen sharing screen space with Nayanthara, Sania Malhotra and Sunil Grover. Deepika is also likely to make a cameo in the film.
Ready.
Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
If you live in the national capital region of this country, including Delhi, Gurugram, Noida, Faridabad, Ghaziabad, then you need to look at the pictures that I have around me on my screen right now, because this is going to be in your lungs very, very soon, unless you can get the hell out of here. We were promised by our politicians in Delhi, in the surrounding states, that crop burning would not happen in Punjab. And despite a change in government, there continues to be bickering between Punjab and the centre, between Delhi and the centre, and the net result is crop burning is continuing to take place rampantly in Punjab. And as you and I well know, viewer, that this is the primary reason for the huge deathly smog that engulfs Delhi just around this time, early winter. And it's coming. There's no way we can stop it. Take a look at this report. They failed us again.
It's that time of the year again. Farmers in Punjab and Haryana have started burning stubble on their farms. A few weeks from now, unless the state governments get their act together, the national capital will face its annual nightmare, smog. Scientists gathered for a brainstorming session on air quality at IIT Delhi on Thursday. They have warned that the stubble burning that has been delayed by a month due to rains will happen simultaneously and could cause much severe pollution than usual. The Bhagwant Mann government in Punjab, which will face its first litmus test, is formulating a plan.
चीफ मिनिस्टर साहब पहला क्लियर कर चुके हैं ये जो समस्या है ना मुकदमे वगैरह दर्ज करके हल होने वाली नहीं है ये समस्या एक बहुत बड़ी समस्या है हमने छोटे किसानों को बोला कि 2-2 3-3 एकड़ वाले को बोला कि जी आप नहीं कर सकते तो हम आपकी वो भी मत कर सकते हैं लेबर
Farmers, on the other hand, are claiming they're not getting any aid from the government.
इसका जो है ना कणक तो बीजी जाती है बाबूजी, ये आलू लगाते हैं जिस जौन से खेत में, उसमें फूकने बगैर हल्ले कोई नहीं हैगा। ये या तो फिर गवर्नमेंट इसका इंतजाम दे हमारे को, कोई हम ना जलाएं इसको, कोई जरूर हमको शौक नहीं है जलाने का, हमको सिर्फ इसका मजबूरी कारण ये काम करना पड़ता है जलाने वाला।
The opposition is targeting the Aam Aadmi Party government over the issue. The Akali Dal has questioned Chief Minister Man's back-to-back visits to poll-bound Gujarat.
मैं सरकार ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਗੁਜਰਾਤ 'ਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਝੂਠ ਬੋਲੋ, ਆ ਮੰਡੀਆਂ 'ਚ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਦੇਖੋ ਕਿ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਝਾੜ ਨਿਕਲੇ। ਇਮੀਡੀਏਟਲੀ ਕਿਸਾਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਐਡਾ ਵੱਡਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਹੋਇਆ, ਹੁਣ ਵੀ ਗਿਰਦਾਵਰੀ ਕਰਾ ਕੇ ਤੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੁਆਵਜ਼ਾ ਦਿਓ, ਤਾਂ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਵਿਚਾਰੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਅਗਲੀ ਫਸਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬੀਜ ਸਕਣਗੇ।
The Haryana government claims it is taking strict action against farmers who burn stubble.
इस बार बहुत एक अच्छे रिजल्ट्स हमारे मिले हैं अभी तक के, और मात्र 81 घटनाएं ही रिपोर्ट हुई हैं जिनके खिलाफ हमने FIR भी किए, सब किया है। तो लोग उसके लिए बहुत सतर्क हुए हैं। हमने उसमें जो इंसेंटिव्स हैं, 1000 रुपये एकड़ हम देते हैं, और जो खरीदते हैं इंडस्ट्री के लोग उनको भी गौशालाओं के लिए जो अलग से खरीदते हैं उनको 500 रुपये टन अलग देते हैं।
The state governments every year claim to be fully prepared, and almost every year the people in North India choke over smog. Will this year be any different? With Kamaljeet Sandhu and Manjeet Sehgal in Punjab and Abhishek Anand in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now take a look at where all in Punjab and around Delhi crop burning is currently taking place. I want to remind our viewers that it had been promised by the Delhi government that crop burning will be cracked down upon and that there will be a visible decrease in the possibility of that horrible smog that comes to Delhi. This is the latest image of where crop burning is taking place. Please take a look at how close to Delhi it's happening in Haryana and in Punjab. Both in Haryana, BJP ruled Haryana and Aam Aadmi Party ruled Punjab, and Aam Aadmi Party ruled Delhi are going to be the sufferers of what is happening right now. The Aam Aadmi Party has washed its hands off it. They've blamed the centre for not cooperating. But no matter who is finally to blame, the fact is the people of Delhi, NCR, will be suffering. People will die. They will die a little. Their lifespan will be shortened. Their lungs will be blackened. And we will just go about our daily lives once again. That's the truth of what these politicians have reduced us to. The questions that we're asking here on India Today, and we demand accountability from the Aam Aadmi Party government in Punjab and in Delhi about what it has done. Remember, the Aam Aadmi Party now controls the entire supply chain from Delhi to Punjab. So how can they sidestep accountability for this crop burning that's taking place? Or is it only about trying to shovel blame on the centre? Will stubble burning choke Delhi once again? It's a rhetorical question. Of course it is. Look at how much crop burning is already happening. 2, do the centre and the Delhi government have an actionable clean air plan? They told us they did. Have they implemented it? Is it working? Have they been sitting on their hands? Are they making a fool of us? Question 3, can the Aam Aadmi Party deflect blame for the stubble menace now? Are they going to be making excuses and resorting to the usual stunt of blaming somebody else for what they have failed to do? It's an important thing to think about. Remember, accountability is important. Haryana will penalize farmers burning stubble. Why can't Punjab do the same thing? Why can't the Aam Aadmi Party government under Bhagwant Mann, the new chief minister, implement that? That's a question we are asking here. We will be asking the government for more answers, and we will continue to update our viewers on the air quality that it is currently in free fall in the national capital region, thanks to our netas who've once again failed us. This is the beginning of a series of reports here on India Today on what we will be calling Delhi emergency, on how we've been failed and how our lives are going to be shortened all over again for yet another winter. Stay tuned on that big story. That's a wrap on 5 Live. Thanks very much for watching. Coming up next, we're decoding Bengaluru's civic mess. It's the big state going to elections just 7 months from now. But after the recent rain floods and several other pothole stories, urban death traps, it's total misery and urban decay. Can this city be rescued from total ruin? It's the big focus on 6 p.m. Prime with Akshita.